Hello, everybody, and welcome to the FEE3 2025 interview for Ballad of the Bard. My name is Olivia, and I'm here interviewing SubwayBossEmmett, the game's lead developer. Hey, Emmett.
Hi, excited to be here. I kind of was very interested in the interview format, and it's been a very interesting experience preparing for this. I mean, it's not like I've done that much, but I'm very excited to talk and share with just some history and details and focus of the hack.
Heck yeah, I love I love hearing about that stuff, so that's exactly what we're here for. Let's start with the big basic question. What is Ballad of the Bard? Can you describe the game for me?
Honestly, Ballad of the Bard is really just at the core my love letter to the Binding Blade. When I was very new to the series, I had only played 3DS FE and FE7, and my first attempt of FE6 really did not go well. I eventually just rage quit Chapter 16 and was just very fine not wanting to ever touch it again after I got really screwed over, missing a sleep staff, and then someone got crit. And I actually openly trash-talked FE6 on Discord for ages,
No!
and I had people debating on putting a rule to minimize trash talk for specific games when I was back when I was an edgier 19-year-old. But yeah,
you
then 2
mean
years
FE6? That one's good.
I understand why people dislike it, but 2 years later, I don't know if it was for the sake of completion. I did give FE6 another chance on hard mode. I just had been playing a lot more Fire Emblem, a little bit more of an elitist. And it was actually right after FE5, and the game just, a switch flipped in my head. And it was I realized a lot of the streamlined simplicity and quality of life injected to it over, the Super Nintendo Fire Emblem was just so much different of a vibe. And I think it appeals a lot more when you think of it as the soft reboot of the series, streamlining weird mechanics, but adding new ones, but not as, a lesser version of FE7, which I think is a lot of people's issue, which is understandable. But yeah, to actually talk about the game itself, Ballad of the Bard is an alternate retelling with Elfin, who normally resigns himself to be in the background as a tactician to Roy, but in this he's more thrust into the center of attention. The goal for this is to feature the entire cast in more reactive situations to the plot, and mostly just everyone getting a part of being involved. My goal is that I'd hope to capture that feeling of falling in love with the cast they may not have cared for prior with Binding Blade's world. And while I do try to be a purist, I do have a very high focus on reliability because I have 2 lords that cause game over when they're breathed on. So maybe a bit different from FE6.
And speaking of those 2 lords, there's a big obvious question about Ballad of the Bard, right? Why did you decide to go with multiple bards for the hack? Why 2 bards?
It's really funny. I didn't plan on that at all.
Really?
I didn't want it to be the Bard Train hack. I wanted it to be the Elfin mini hack. It was supposed to be a Western Isles hack, starring Elfin and a bunch of the Western Isles resistance people. Because he is one of my favorite Fire Emblem characters, a lot of cool stuff to him. And I just couldn't figure out a way to be happy writing Larum out of the plot, because it would come down to me ultimately kidnapping a young girl, frame 1 of my story, and I just couldn't do it. So I sincerely
Not
went...
Kaga enough.
Yeah, I'm not a true Fire Emblem fan. I did even consider Elfin just being a light magic bard, but it disgusted me for the 20 seconds I was trying to do it. And for a short hack, despite going, well, I have to write Larum out because I can't have 2 dancers, I went, what's wrong in trying out 2 dancers? And I just really clicked with it. My first chapter was fine, but my second chapter, I just had so much fun making it. My few friends that played it back really gave it a lot more praise than I was expecting. And I kind of just got hooked on the ideas the more I went, and kind of realized how I could turn it into a much larger story for FE6. But yeah, if you want to hear some extra irony, I remember once at probably 2 or 3 a.m. when I was studying for an accounting test in college, I kind of just wrote a random rant post about why does Larum exist in Fire Emblem? Because she used to bother me a lot because I thought she took away from Elfin. She was the default dancer. Percival's recruitment was a lot more goofier than cool serious. So yeah, pretty great irony.
I feel like you answered this next question a little bit already, but what were some of your inspirations for this game?
A weird motto I kind of made or realized I wanted to go for was finding the different in the familiar.
Mm-hmm.
I say a lot of my inspiration comes from what you call second quests in games and stories, sometimes very fancy New Game Plus areas, I guess. Because honestly, the first way I dipped in my toes into the FE community was people in the Fire Emblem Awakening fanfic community being very welcoming. And honestly, Fire Emblem itself kind of does this at times, like the Tellius Bridge map overlap, the FE6 to FE7 Eric map with Rain and FE7, which is very fun, and FE11 to FE12 when you have to like free the Arcaneum Palace to having to break it in and take out its king, which is I think is a really way to contrast games, but also like paying respect to what came before. Also, to another extent, Shovel Knight's campaigns, Plague of Shadow, Spectre, Torment, takes familiar locations from the original Shovel Knight, has to completely revamp them to keep their identity. Super cool. Zelda 1, Ocarina of Time, they change up their dungeons completely. I've always loved that. And honestly, you could probably include Undertale here that's different routes.
Do you have a particular example from Ballad of the Bard of doing that you're especially fond of, by any chance?
Yeah, I actually have a lot of fun when I take a familiar location. Like, I'd say like it's about half remixed locations and half completely original. I always try to make sure I am like striving for the landmarks to be recognized, even if I find to change up anything within that from like point A to B. Like, for example, I still have the guy with the L sword in the bridge map with the ballista you can ride. But honestly, the path to the throne is completely different, but I still make sure the top cliffs are the same, the bridges are the same.
Right.
And the way you have to interact with the map is totally different, but it's still very clearly that location.
That's fun, that's fun. So how has your game evolved since the last time that you were at FE3? I forget, were you here the last couple years, or was it only back 2022?
I was at 2023 with low-res gameplay LTC, or low turn count clear by low-res, which was fun. But yes, I was not at 2024. It was like a little disappointing when 2024 came up and I was like debating on submitting, but I'd done so much just random back-end stuff that I didn't have anything new to show off. I mean, UI is cleaner, which is always good. I made cutscenes more pretty, but it's very hard to focus that on being an FE3 presentation, that character's moving more around on the map. But no, I'm very happy with the progress I made this year, though. I got over a lot of my like conceptually hardest, I guess, how you say, not cutscene maps, but flashier maps in terms of
set pieces.
Set pieces, thank you. In terms of what they do for the plot and being more innovative versus just a regular chapter. So, not saying that the road is easy, but I've got a lot less mental overhead for making very specific situations still feel fun in an SRPG.
Yeah, that's progress.
Oh, and I did commission a title screen from somebody on Twitter. Great
Ooh,
stuff.
Exciting, exciting. So if you've been creeping closer to presumably a final version of the game, what are your goals for that? How do you want the final product to turn out?
This was probably the hardest question to answer for me since I got the question list. I think my ultimate goal is just to be a fun strategy game for people of all skill levels. Something that's a little hard right now is that I don't have a difficulty selection, but that is simply because the difficulty isn't coming down to just enemy stats. You can like kill every enemy for free. You have a hero Jag and then 2 refreshers that they can plow through anything, but you just have to be careful. And I really try to emphasize fairness, but a way to excel and get every side objective maybe quicker. Like a lot of my friends are a little bit more hardcore FE players, and I make sure to appeal to them kind of as was one of my goals. But I do always want to make sure that nothing feels overbearing if you just want to just actually beat the game. I think trying to make sure that your dancers can stay safe and you have enough strong tools, but fun tools is a really fun balance for me to try to work around.
It's good that the tools are fun, too.
Yeah.
If they're strong and boring, that's my least favorite kind.
Yeah, not simple enemy phasing.
What, in the Bard hack? No way. You want me to player phase with 2 bards? You're crazy.
Things we have to do.
So, besides the aforementioned 2 bards thing, what do you think's the most standout thing about your hack?
I think, to me, while Ballad of the Bard is very much a celebration of FE6 from my point of view, and I'll throw in a lot of obscure references for brain-rotted Elite fans to notice, I still am very designed to be approachable if you haven't played FE6, but I've also felt like I haven't had to change anybody in FE6. I feel like everyone is still very much themselves, which is the thing that is, I feel, in some fan projects, they really have to twist a character just to like, kind of make a conflict happen. but I really haven't felt the need to do that. Everyone feels very themselves, which I consult with some other hyper purists to do. A shout out to Dane of Gungear.
Shout out.
Who once noticed that I contradicted the support line, and I felt like I just failed as a writer, even though it's just a completely flavor edition line. And he's like, oh, this contradicts this part. It's like, why am I here?
You don't have encyclopedic knowledge of all the supports, even a real FE6 fan?
True. But yeah, I do think the FE6 cast is a very strong cast for the Fire Emblem series. They're just held back by the first attempt at the support system, and kind of the main plot being almost structured as a MacGuffin quest, just hitting up different locations quickly. There's a lot of nuance and grounded thoughts to a lot of the characters in Elite for what they think about their place in the world and what's happened to them prior that I just think is very interesting to explore and get to comment on, because I don't feel like I need to reinvent it. I just need to present a situation where characters can talk about what's happened to them.
Yeah, that is fun. I feel like I've seen a lot of people over the years take that kind of look at FE6, wanting to explore some of its unexplored story potential, I guess you could call it.
Yeah, I think that's a good description. There's definitely a lot of people who want to make FE6 but good, and I don't think I am doing that. I just want... It's a different story for FE6 to tell. It's kind of what my internal goal is.
Right. So something I've been curious about, because I've been aware of this hack for a while, and as someone who's had to design maps, I don't know how you'd ever design a map with 2 bards. I'm really curious to hear, like, how did having 2 bards, like, influence the way you design chapters in the first place, and were there any,
pain
like...
and suffering. No.
Awesome.
It's like I'm almost problem-solving my own puzzle while I make it, but sincerely, kind of, I guess I'll get into more of the annoyances either. At the very start, getting through the main objective, it will always be decently free, I guess you'd call it.
Mm-hmm.
Not that it's totally free, you can still easily mess up and die. That's why I have turn, suspend saves that start every player phase, so you can also like fix a misinput simply. But yeah, so kind of the main focus is more on getting all the side objectives in a map, and part of the reason why when I was early on, it's like, okay, do I want to stay an FE6 hack? How sure am I? I kind of was realizing that I think using FE6's large cast as side objectives you can't ignore was a strong reason why I wanted to continue working with FE6. Because characters are the side objective people do not miss no matter what. So kind of forcing people to do that and then also do a C's map at the same time is always pretty fun to design. But the struggle is that an objective just can't be open. You can't just have a green unit far away to be talked to, or a village be ready to grab and a brigand will destroy it in 5 turns. People will do the tedious, painful things to themselves. I used to not set up hard barricades because I was like, people won't want to do this. They'll just have to bard train back out of safety. And they did it. They did it multiple times. I had Sherloka, who was a Conquest and Revelation 0% LTCR, completely destroy some of my maps and force me to like just sit down and make hard enemy walls at a few specific points. Like, they move when you get closer to them. It's not like they're stationary forever, but they picked up Fur, got her all the way to the boss, just rig a crit, boom, 2-turn map. And then also found out I didn't make green units to auto-join at the time yet, because I thought they'd just be in danger by turn 4. But like, no, they just... Yeah, good testing. But yeah, another thing, I'll probably put up an image of like the map they cleared in 2 turns. But yeah, another thing that's kind of a fun puzzle to struggle that's not related to the bards but FE6 is sometimes I have like, oh man, this character slots in so well, I'm a genius, this is great flexibility. And then other times I realize, oh my god, I have 3 bow users by chapter 4, and now I have 5 axe users by chapter 6. How are they going to stick out? Because I'm a very archer biased type, internally wanting like units to really stick out and be good. And I only have one unit I probably deliberately made bad, but I'm not going to say who.
You have to download the game to find out. Check the description.
But yeah, honestly, trying to make each cast, like, figuring out how I'm going to use the cast also is kind of a puzzle to me. The whole game almost feels like a puzzle that I'm solving while I'm making. So that's always a lot of fun to me. I'm realizing how I'm taking off the cast from a giant list, how they're going to stand out versus each other. And I probably have had more units shuffled than most devs should do for a whip project in terms of like when a flyer is going to join, uh, when just you get your first anima mage. You have 2 dark mages and like potentially 2 bishops before your first anima user. It is great. But no, I think that quirkiness is also just a little fun.
You said a couple times that it feels like trying to solve a puzzle in how you're making it. I'm really curious about. Could you elaborate on what you mean by that? Because it sounds really interesting to me. Is the puzzle like the sandbox that you've created? You're trying to create levels that can challenge that, or is it more like you're designing the levels as puzzles for you to solve with that tool set?
I think it's a little bit more of the former. It's trying to balance both having such an potentially infinite move lord, and also, honestly, Echidna is the Jagan of this hack, who got promoted to like being the 3rd lord of the hack, really. Honestly, arguably 2nd main character. Just their combat as a hero Jagan had to be really good, and everyone else had to kind of compete around them. So I always kind of kept having to find ways for units to stand out versus a just combat juggernaut, more or less. But it's kind of like both working in maps that facilitate bard training, but also like still kind of giving characters their chance to shine on a map, or like to be original, a little bit unique. I have a friend, Correct. He's not in the hacking scene, so I won't name drop him. But we've been kind of bouncing. He joined around chapter 9. He actually encouraged me to rewrite things because I realized I wrote myself into a hole. And then to help me, he kind of just joined along and just hasn't left. So good for him.
Nice.
But yeah, we kind of like sometimes come up with ideas together. Or like I pitch like a general idea. He says, okay, that's cool. But what if we did this X Factor? And I like think how I could do that in Builder and how I'm like gonna make it work. And I usually do. I've only had to push back like 1 or 2 times on him. But so it's kind of like a puzzle, appealing to him, appealing to like doing characters justice, and then still being a good SRPG. So it's a lot of like mini challenges and how I want to focus things, but it's fun. It's a puzzle, but it's fun to me.
All right, it's time for my favorite question. What's your favorite part of your project, personally?
This is really cheesy. It's that I've made better friends and kind of found a community that I really connect with while I work on this. Because I've always been like fine, like joining Discord. I usually like, get burnt out in like a year, 18 months, which is like fine. I still talk to people after it. But there's something about the FE community in FEU that's just really, I just feel like I connect with. Yeah. It's really just a joy to see how far you and your friends have come. Like, I mean, I gotta give shout outs to Crash Boom Bang, helped me get into hacking. Jelly Unicorns, who kind of start hacking at the same time. I want to keep up her levels of polish, and Aaron Gedden, who I kind of helped teach how to hack. And just seeing him getting better at specific eventing things is always really fun. And just people being so down to help each other and improve is just really cool. And I have to give a mega shout out to Archer Butt, who basically just, I don't know if he befriended me or I befriended him, but when my hack didn't even have like a demo out yet, he asked me what my plans for an OST were after like vaguely knowing the plans. I said, yeah, I'll probably import FE6 music later. I don't know music stuff that well, since it's like its own menu that I hadn't looked at yet. I said, okay, just get the most recent patch. And I thought he was just going to play it. 30 minutes later, he sent me back a full sound room with a bunch of FE6 music. And he's just gone on to make FE6 remixes with instrumentation, usually mixed up with sometimes other Fire Emblem music, Pokemon Conquest, or just like other songs he likes. I have commissioned him for 2 songs in particular, but most of his things are just gifts, and he's a very nice. I got to give him a huge shout out. The hack would not be the same because we've just discussed so many just fundamentals in FE together.
That sounds really sweet. I'm glad the hack could be something like that for you, though. That's awesome.
Yeah.
All right, we're almost done here. First of all, how many chapters is your game going to be when it's finished?
It's shaping up to be 30 chapters with like 4 interludes. Ooh. Although the interludes are not going to be as expansive as like Tomorrow's Golden Puncher, Cerulean Crescent, like really interactive bits. They're kind of more of a place for the plot to like slow down, like maybe if I really need just characters to say, all right, what are we doing next? And giving other characters just a chance to breathe and catch up with others. Sometimes it's in like characters who like already support each other and know each other. Sometimes I just pair up strangers together and just kind of see what happens. It's something kind of amusing to me is that my chapter count might technically be identical to FE6 because FE6 is like 24 plus endgame plus guidance. Even though my guidance are forced, I just like putting X in my chapter for the divine weapon maps.
It looks so cool. A lot of X is so cool.
What am I not going to use that? Yeah, unintentional bit of purism that I might do. There is like one chapter I'm trying to see if I don't need or not, but it's on the fence still. If I'm happy with how like an end event goes, I probably won't need to, but it just might be such a long end event, I'll probably justify another gameplay scenario. Because it'll be a lot of characters realizing shit.
Sorry, I don't think you finished that statement. If you'll cut a chapter to get the chapter count even with FE6?
It's more like I currently have like a few ideas if I want endgame to be merged, if you know FE6, or it'll be separate. That's not figured out yet. And then I have 2 chapters that I could maybe condense down to 1 chapter. I don't know if it'll just be so much bloat in the start and end event that it'll be warrant 2 chapters. So it's kind of like, it'll depend on how I feel when I rate the scene, because it'll be a lot of characters.
I see. Well, it
might be like 31 chapters, it might be 29. It's probably gonna be 30 though.
Okay. So 30's still a good ballpark. It's a lot longer than I thought it was gonna be.
Me too.
Isn't that always how it goes though?
Yeah. Laura is a good friend of mine. We always advocate for shorter hacks, and I'm just a hypocrite fraud.
Do as I say, not as I do.
Next time when I start my next hack at like
surely.
Totally.
The next one's gonna be really short.
Yeah.
Obviously.
Yeah.
Wow.
I do hope to have the hack out by the end of this year. It might not.
Ooh.
It might need like a little bit of time in like January, February. It definitely won't be done by FE3, but it'll be very close to completion by then. And I'll probably put out a demo for people to be the most, updated, pretty one.
Yeah, that's really exciting. You'll have to check that out in the description. Anyway, do you have any closing remarks here before we sign off for the day?
Play my hack. Play my hack and leave feedback. I'd really love to know if you know the hack as a fan of Aleve, or haven't even touched Binding Blade's character. It's really fun getting feedback from all types of players, skill levels, familiarity with the characters. And honestly, if it doesn't click with you, that is fine. It is a very unique hack for obvious reasons, but I think that's what makes it worth trying at the end of the day.
Yeah. It definitely... I'll be honest, I actually didn't know that Ballad of the Bard was based on FE6 before this interview. I don't know how I didn't know that.
It is... I do sometimes not love saying FE6 fanfic, but it is. It is my fanfic.
It's allowed to be fanfic. It's fine.
But yeah, very big fan of FE6 characters. I've got no new OCs in terms of playables. I've obviously made my own bosses, but a long time ago I thought I could do this without any OCs, like NPCs or bosses. I got that crushed out of my mind quickly, but it's FE6. You don't need more characters.
Heck yeah. All right. Well, thank you so much. I had a lot of fun. This was a great interview.
It was great talking to you.
Yeah. For everyone watching, I hope you enjoy the rest of your FEE3 2025. It's a big anniversary year. It's very, very exciting. There's going to be more interviews like this, so, keep an eye out for those. And, of course, all the other wonderful showcases that we have this year. If you were interested by the hack, as I've mentioned several times before now, go check the description. There'll be a link to the thread there, and you can check it out for yourself and play that new pretty demo that Emmett's talking about.
Oh, yeah. Hopefully, over 24, 25 chapters, but we'll see. But yeah, it was very fun talking to you. It's always nice to talk about myself in a nice formal spot.
Everyone loves talking about themselves. I wonder how many of these interviews will have a I love talking about myself joke in them. Because so far I'm 2 for 2.
Oh, great. I wonder if these will air in order. We'll see. That'd be funny.
That would be awesome. The chronological order interviews. Oh man. Anyway. Thank you so much for coming. It was really nice to talk to you, Emmett. And thank you all for watching. And we'll see you at the rest of FE3. Bye-bye.
Have a nice one.